guys, it's StephanieGrams with sewingwithsteam.llc.com, and I thought I would just show you, this is an inchie, like a crazy quilt front that I'm working on. I just thought I would give you some ideas. If you have a bucket of scraps, let me see if I can get this in the camera. So I just used a clear shoebox, and it's full of scrap fabrics. Now you can obviously sew these together like I did here. And there's the camera. And I just sewed several pieces of fabric together, and then I used the decorative stitches on my sewing machine. And this was actually a piece, I think I made a piece of fabric probably by 12 by 12 out of all the scraps. And then this is just a strip from that. There you go. It's a bright sunny day today, so hopefully this will still show up for you while I film. But anyways, here's the inchies that I'm working on. Let me dim the light just a little bit. And I just have it in my hoop holder here. And I have different designs and different stitches. Now, I do move from one square to the next without actually finishing the total square. Like down here, this little inchie. And the reason it's called an inchie is because each square is 1 inch by 1 inch. And see, if you see the blue lines, that is the wash away marker for fabric, for sewing. So if I just dampen this with a wet cloth, it will actually go away. And I have several different types of embroidery stitches in these. I've also cut pieces of fabric and have sewn those in there. So let me show you how you can do this. You don't need a pattern, so if you don't have a printer right now, or ink or paper or any of that to print patterns, then you definitely can still sew. Okay, I'm going to adjust my camera. Hold on one second. I still want to make motion sickness by moving the camera. I need like a real tripod type of thing here. Okay, so here's my scrap fabric. I'm just going to cut a little square off of it. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm just going to eyeball this. And hopefully it turns out into a cute heart. See? You can see I even had stabilizer on the back of that. I just peeled that off. Alright, now I'm going to take this heart. I'm going to find one of the squares, one of my inchie squares. I'm actually going to work upside down for a second. And you can put your little heart any way you want. It can go sideways, upside down, right side up. I'm actually going to put mine in here on the corner. And then I'm going to pick embroidery floss and sew it on. I'm actually going to sew with the black floss just because I want it to show up in the camera for you. However, you can choose any color you would like. I'm just flossing the needle. I'm not sure if you looked at the other videos, but on my embroidery hoop holder, I don't know the real name for this thing, there's these bolts that come up, and I just hang my embroidery floss. If it's on a paper bobbin, I just hang it on there. It helps me out. On my YouTube channel, I have been talking about your sewing website. If you own a sewing business, even if you consider yourself more of a hobbyist, it's a really good idea to have your own website. And with the downtime or time of relaxation that we are all living in, it might be a relaxing time for you to work on your website, get some ideas. My private group, which is also free, we share a bunch of ideas for setting up our websites or making them organized, you know, beautified and things like that. Alright, so all I'm going to do is a simple straight stitch around the perimeter of my heart. Again, you can use any stitch you would like. I'm just giving you some ideas to help pass time. And really, this is a project that pretty much any age can do. I started using a needle and thread by the time I was 7 years old. And I have my story on my website if you're interested in learning more about me and the sewing. Now you can leave this, you know, half sewn and leave it a little pocket, and then put a design underneath that if you'd like, or you can follow the stitch all the way around the heart until you're done. So for this particular inchie square, I'm going to go ahead and follow this along. I think one more stitch would fit. Again, you might want to make sure that each stitch is exactly the same measurement as the stitch before it. For this craziness, I don't worry about that because this is strictly just for myself. And I'm going to tie this off. Here's the back of my creation here. And you can tie it off any way that you like. I'm actually going to have stabilizer on the back of this once it's once it's completed. Excuse me. And then you know, the threads won't show. If your fabric frays, let me see if I can get this in here. If your fabric frays a little bit, just try to gently remove it. It's not a big deal. And let's see what we have here. We have French knots. Actually, these are a little larger, so these would be more of a colonial knot. I have long and short satin stitch, and I used this type of thread. Coats and Armor, it's tatting crochet thread. So that's how I used made the rain. It's supposed to be a rainbow in the rain. I have some fabric bunched up, and then I put a variety of knots in that. I put colonial knots, and then I used a pink crochet thread, the exact same. I think this says 7. So 7 to make, this is actually a flower. It might be hard to pick up on camera. And then I used 4, let me see, pink, blue, purple, yellow, and green. So 5 different floss colors to make this fuzzy pom-pom. Alright, this is the beginning of my little inchworm, a flower. Again, I just cut this flower out of a piece of fabric that I have and stitched it on. I have a chain stitch in the body part, and then this is the beginning of a cloud of French knots. Again, I need to go in and add some, I'm thinking about putting some wire and beads actually on some of these squares, which is why they're not completed. And each inchie, you can make it any way you would like, but the inchies are an opportunity for you to tell a story in stitching, and that's what I'm doing with this project. It's always something I run to after I'm done at work. I still have to leave for my job, and I come home after work and will sew a couple different stitches in this inchie. Alright, so that was my quick tip for today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share my YouTube channel. As always, I hope to be of help, and if you have anything you'd like to talk to me about, please send me a message. Have a great day, guys.